right, Joellen. You know I like this, right?
Yeah. Well, look, we had to cover the bed because we had rain.
Okay.
And we knew we were going to do this today, so we covered the bed so the soil wouldn't be too wet. Because if the soil's too wet and we're going to be working in it, we're going to lose all of our pore space for air and water exchange.
Okay.
And we don't want to compact what we've loosened up already. So now we'll unveil it and see how everything looks.
All right. Let me get that one out of the way. There we go. What do you think?
Well, you know, the snapdragons look like they did pretty good, but of course they didn't bloom through the winter. They're getting ready to bloom again, but it's time for us to change them out. But the pansies, we put trailing pansies in here and they did not do well. So we'll cross those off the list for this bed because they didn't do well here. And the daffodils, they've come and they've bloomed and now they're about gone. We'll leave them in the ground, you know, while we plant the others and let them die so they'll get energy to bloom again.
Okay.
So I guess it's the compost pile for everything else that's left.
This is going to be tough.
I know you hate to do that.
This is tough for
and
me.
They're getting ready to bloom again.
Getting ready to bloom.
I know, they're getting ready to bloom
It
again.
is tough.
But it's time to change them out. And these snapdragons did very well here.
These are nice. Oh,
they did very well here.
Good root system.
Good root system. And you know, they may have done so well that they shaded out the pansies. So that might be why the pansies didn't do well either.
You think about it too, the bed is really not weedy.
No, well, it was covered with plants, so they shaded out any of the weeds. Also, it's got nicely mulched, and that also helped shade out the weeds. Yeah, the more cover you have over the ground, the less weeds you'll have.
It's a good lesson.
We will try to ignore the daffodils, and we could always tie them up if we wanted to. Sometimes people will divide them and tie them up just to keep them out of the way.
Right.
Then they let them die down. We might do that to this one and that one and leave the back. And then we have something new to plant in the bed this year.
I like new in the bed.
Some plants that we haven't tried before.
Okay.
First, we will plant some salvia, blue salvia. And the variety of this called Victoria, which is the original blue salvia that was annual like this, had a tendency to be somewhat perennial in this area, depending on the weather in the winter. So we can try to leave these in the ground in the fall and see if they will be perennial. But this is a variety, a newer variety, so I don't know if they will live or not.
Oh, this is our trial.
This is our trial.
Bed, right, it's our trial bed.
But we can go ahead and plant these.
So while you're setting those out, what are you thinking in your head as far as the pattern?
Well, we've got only 7 of these, and they're going to be a little bit larger. I think they'll get about 12 inches tall and wide, so I wanted to spread them out in the bed. I like to set them out so you see where they're going to be planted and if they're even in the bed before you start planting. And even though I set these out, I don't like them. They're not even in the bed, so I've got to move this over. So move that one over. Move this one over. This one over. This one's okay. This one down.
I'm about to tell you, you gotta get an eye for that. Have you done this before?
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, now they're evenly spaced in the bed, so we'll have nice blue throughout the beds. And we can start planting the salvia first, and then we'll plant the next plant. Now there's mulch in this bed, so we're going to move the mulch out of the way because the mulch is still good. Got a little rock. You don't need the rock. And then I would put my fingers on either side of the stem and gently squeeze the container. and let the plant come out and look at the roots, and you see they're just starting to fill the container. You don't need to really do anything. They're going to be going out, and we will dig our hole.
Right.
And we will plant them at soil level.
Soil level.
And gently put mulch just back up and around it. So it's right there. Now this soil is nice and loose. Put this plant in at ground level. You set the soil around it. You don't have to pack the soil in because that's going to, we've already got this soil nice and loose for air and water movement for the roots. And it's nice and light and dry. When we get finished, we'll water it in, and that will settle in the soil around the roots. And we don't have to force soil in around them. Now, before we go any further, we need to add some fertilizer.
Do you recommend the
just some type of slow release fertilizer, not particular about what kind. You don't have to put a whole lot in, and this should last for several months. Next, we're going to put in these red petunias.
Yeah, I like petunias.
Now, we've not used petunias in this bed.
All right.
And petunias do like to be somewhat dry, so it should be interesting to see how they handle the irrigation.
Okay.
Let's see what kind of root system we have here.
They look good.
Oh, that's a nice root system.
Nice.
We're going to have to do a little trimming, pushing those around a little bit. This particular petunia is a wave petunia. So we shall see how it does in here.
Oh, look at the root system on that one.
It's got some good roots in here. So we'll plant these, and then we'll finish up with our yellow marigolds. Plant these the same way. The top of the soil level of the petunia should be at the soil level that exists in the bed.
Okay.
And I see this one needs a little bit, we don't want that box or rounding to keep going. So what we'll do is just move this out a little bit so it stops circulating and go out into the bed.
There you go.
All right.
Right.
Now for the last color.
Okay.
We're going to put in yellow marigolds. For these, I got small ones to fill in because we'll use a lot of them.
Okay.
And you'll notice a little bit of these have got some freeze damage on it. We had an unusual cold snap, and the nursery couldn't put everything in, so they're still all right. These are tough. We'll start planting them. These will be easier to plant, and you know, they're not too bad. You might just, if you see a lot of roots at the bottom, you might move it out of the way so they stop circling or going in that little square box. But again, don't plant these too deep. It can be easy. They're small, so don't plant them too deep. Well, there we go.
So what do you think?
Primary colors, blue, red, and yellow. Can't wait to see how this works. Okay, and we will leave the daffodils in until they turn brown because we want them to bloom next year, so they've got to get energy to be able to do that, and they'll die naturally, and we'll just take them off the soil surface.
Okay. It's always exciting. Yeah, I can't wait to see what it looks like once it gets up and grows, all right? Thank you, Joellen. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please click the subscribe button below.